Walk outside on a clear day and give it 15 minutes. Your skin will likely start to burn, blister, and peel. Meanwhile, dogs, cats, and horses spend their entire lives under the exact same sun without issue. Their fur, scales, and pigmentation are perfectly calibrated to our local star. Ours are not. Then look at our skeletal structure. Roughly 80% of humans will experience chronic back pain at some point in their lives. When 4 out of 5 members of a single species share the exact same structural failure, you stop blaming individual posture and start questioning the blueprint. Our reproductive process is equally baffling. Human childbirth is the most dangerous birth process of any mammal on the planet. Before modern medicine, it was a leading cause of death. Compare that to a horse, where a newborn foal regularly stands up and walks within an hour of hitting the ground. Lizards, bears, and horses possess physical traits seamlessly integrated with this planet's conditions. Human bodies, by contrast, behave as if they were designed for an entirely different environment. The anomalies go beyond our physical biology. We are the only animal that walks around fully burdened by the knowledge of its own mortality. And ecologically, we operate exactly like an invasive species, systematically dismantling and extracting from our host ecosystem, rather than existing in balance with it. In 1973, Francis Crick, the Nobel-winning chemist who helped decode DNA, proposed a radical hypothesis called directed panspermia. He looked at the biological data and suggested life did not originate here, but was deliberately seeded on Earth by an intelligent civilization. This animated timeline shows the core problem Crick identified. Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago. Complex organic chemistry appears suddenly, just 700 million years later. In geological time, that is virtually overnight, occurring while the planet was still a molten, toxic hellscape. Then, in 1969, the Murchison meteorite crashed into Australia. When scientists cracked open this space rock, they found over 90 different amino acids inside. The exact chemical building blocks required for life were actively hitching a ride through deep space. We also have physical proof that life can survive that journey. Tardigrades, these microscopic 8-legged organisms, have been exposed to the absolute vacuum of space, heavy cosmic radiation, and temperatures near absolute zero. They survived. In 2019, an Israeli lunar lander carrying thousands of dehydrated tardigrades crashed into the moon. Biologists estimate that some of those organisms could still be viable sitting on the lunar surface right now, proving that biological matter can hop between celestial bodies. These physical glitches, paired with the fact that life's building blocks are currently drifting through the vacuum of space, raise a difficult question. If life can hitchhike between stars, our poor local adaptation might suggest an origin that looks very different from Earth. Mainstream evolutionary biology pushes back hard on this idea, offering a much more grounded explanation for our physical flaws: evolutionary mismatch. An evolutionary mismatch occurs when a species' body evolves too slowly to keep up with sudden, massive changes in its environment or behavior. This diagram shows the mechanical reality of human bipedalism. Our spine was originally constructed as a horizontal bridge, meant to be supported by 4 legs. Evolution forcefully rotated it 90 degrees to stand upright, creating intense stress points where gravity painfully compresses the discs. Now, look at an animal naturally built for standing. A kangaroo skeleton absorbs weight fluidly from the ground up. They are structurally sound, which is why they don't share our chronic joint pain. That persistent back pain is the physical cost of a spine forced upright by evolution, faster than the blueprint could adapt. A prototype walking around without its final update. That severe sunburn is another evolutionary tax. When our ancestors moved from dense forests to the open savanna, they traded a protective coat of fur for bare skin and sweat glands. This allowed them to cool down and out-endure prey over long distances. Sunburn is simply the biological toll for extreme thermoregulation. Biologists call our dangerous childbirth process the obstetrical dilemma. It is essentially a violent traffic jam between 2 massive evolutionary upgrades. Walking upright requires a narrow, highly compact pelvis. At the exact same time our pelvis was shrinking, our brains were rapidly expanding. Those massive infant heads barely clear the birth canal, making the entire process physically perilous. Even our destructive ecological habits follow biological logic. We evolved in small hunter-gatherer bands on the savanna, hardwired to consume immediate resources to survive the week. Those same brains are suddenly in charge of managing a global planetary ecosystem. They aren't wired for the job. The evidence suggests we are an animal whose specific evolutionary upgrades, sweat, upright walking, and big brains, simply arrived with violent biological trade-offs. Evolutionary mismatch neatly answers why our bodies are broken, but it completely fails to explain the one variable that makes human history so strange: the velocity of our advancement. Dolphins have existed for roughly 50 million years. They are highly intelligent, possess complex social lives, and communicate. Yet in 50 million years, they have never produced a single tool. Chimpanzees figured out how to use sticks about 4 million years ago. They have not filed a single major technological upgrade since. Humans, meanwhile, went from painting on cave walls to building a globally connected civilization in a geological blink of an eye. And that timeline keeps violently compressing. 125 years ago, airplanes did not exist. 75 years later, we had a fully operational space station orbiting the planet. Theories abound for this acceleration. Cooking food provided the high-calorie density needed for brain expansion. A mutation in the FOXP2 gene enabled complex speech. But scientists admit that none of these factors fully explain the sheer, terrifying speed of our progress. Transitioning from a vulnerable prey animal to the masters of a planet in a fraction of evolutionary time remains the single greatest anomaly in Earth's history. The data woven into our genetic code strongly anchors us to this planet, but the scientific method demands that we ask uncomfortable questions when the timeline refuses to align perfectly. Questioning our origins isn't a wild conspiracy. It is the exact type of relentless, unsatisfied curiosity that defines our species. That deep, lingering sense of not belonging might actually be our most important feature. It is the psychological engine forcing us to build rockets, launch rovers, and aggressively map out other worlds. Whether we are a flawed biological prototype or cosmic wanderers, we remain the strangest creation on Earth, a species that stares up at the stars, constantly wondering where it truly belongs.